What's up, everybody? You know, we always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. Thank you guys. Sorry, I know there wasn't a show last week, but we have an amazing one today. So let's get on with this. Guys, Yellow Jacket. As most of you know, I'm a second generation HVAC tech, 20 plus years in the trade, but I always think back to those days working with my dad that I cherish so much. My dad always said your tools are an extension of yourself. If you buy quality tools and take care of them, then they'll take care of you. Most of the time, you only have to buy them once. Well, that brand that I think back to is Yellow Jacket. They've been making quality tools for 70 years and counting, making them right here in the US of A. While most companies cheapened out and sent their products overseas, Yellow Jacket did not. They kept them right here in the US of A. So if you're looking for quality tools that you can depend on to get the job done, then look no further than Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket has been trusted by my family for generations now, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Remember, 70 years of expertise built into every tool. Next. Guys, my friends over at COMPANYCAM, I have another podcast that's going to be happening with them. This app does so much more than I ever thought it was, and I don't want to explain it to you the wrong way. So just know that show is coming. I'm going to have Miss Claire Fick, COMPANYCAM Claire, they call her, come back on to explain some things. To all of you that have downloaded this, it's amazing. Thank you. And to people out there that are interested, please go do that. Go check it out. The only app every HVAC company needs, COMPANYCAM, makes it dead simple to communicate, document, problem solve with your technicians no matter where you are. COMPANYCAM brings documentation, communication, and liability protection together in one simple, easy-to-use app for you and your entire team. Take unlimited photos and videos, share custom reports, create flawless before and afters, and even communicate and share progress with property owners with galleries and project timelines, all from your smartphone. COMPANYCAM, the only app every HVAC company needs. Check it out at companycam.com/HVAC Uncensored. Go get a free 14-day trial, 100% free, no credit card, no nothing. Try it for 14 days, and if you like it after that, they will give you 50% off your first 2 months for being a part of Uncensored Nation. 14 days, try it for free. You don't like it, hey, no harm, no foul. If you do, great. Now you just learned something that's going to help you and change things inside of your business. Let me get back over here. And the last one, guys, that got to read these because these are my what am I doing here? Sorry, guys, you know me and clicking buttons. Is going to be my friends over at BLUON. Guys, BLUON is totally changing the game as far as what they do. The support that they offer technicians is bar none amazing. They do it for app. It's absolutely free. I tell all of you, if you do not have their app download on your phone, I really don't know what to say to you because it costs nothing. If they cost 30 cents, $1, and somebody said, hey, I don't have $1, okay, that gives you an excuse. It is 100% free, ladies and gentlemen, and it is like it's tech support right in your pocket. We've been doing those tech support episodes where you can meet these ladies and gentlemen that are there to help serve you every single day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year on any brand of equipment. We've all had it where we try to call these manufacturers. We're not a factory authorized dealer. And you know what? They can't help you. They tell you to go shit in your hat. You're stuck. You're out there. You don't know what to do. BLUON will not do that to you. They keep adding new things and new things. Their community is amazing. And now they have it where you can buy parts directly through the app. You can buy it from the supply house that you were going to buy through anyway. It automatically sends over the proper part numbers so you're getting the correct part every time. It helps your supply house because they know exactly what to get you. And if you listen to one of the other podcasts with Curry, that part can be delivered to you. Now, the newest thing they've just offered is when you buy something, you can get 2% back on what you're buying. So it's kind of like they're giving you a free credit card. Not really, but you're getting 2% back on things that you're buying. So guys, let's get done with these so we can get onto the show. But go check out my friends over at BLUON. They are amazing people. I love being partnered with them. And there's so many more things we have coming for you guys. So if you do not have the BLUON app downloaded, please go do that. And remember, it is 100% free. All right, guys, let's get on with the Pledge of Allegiance so we can get this amazing show rocking and rolling. Let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I am your host, Gil Cavey Jr. Guys, another Wednesday, another great show. I've been looking forward to this with this guest. I've seen them. If you look into the description, she was on with some friends of mine, Tersh and Josh, with the Service Business Mastery podcast. When you read all of the thing that this lady has done in our industry, I would be here reading her bio for the whole show. That is how many things that she's accomplished and how many things that she's tried to help and been involved in. So, guys, without further ado, I'm just going to get into this. Please help me welcome Miss Ruth King. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you doing this evening?
I am great. It's good. Like I said, I didn't do a show last week, so this is my therapy. So I'm glad to be back, and thank you for being here with me tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. You know, as we jokingly said off camera, I mean, we can do financial therapy on your business if you'd like.
Yeah, hey, we might need to do that. It's every little bit helps. I guess for some of these people who didn't get to see the other podcast, with Tersh and them, I did. I guess let them know a little bit about who you are and your background and stuff like that before we get in here to try to help some of them.
All right. So my goal in life, my reason for being on this planet, as I figured out when I was about 50 years old, believe it or not, slow learner sometimes, is to give business owners, contractors, the tools and processes to get and stay profitable, build wealth, achieve the goals that you want to achieve, and please give back once you've accomplished all of this. And so I do it so many different ways. I mean, Tersh was very gracious to have me on their podcast, and I do a lot of that. I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of writing. I've written 5 books, the 6th book's coming out in 2023, training, classes, consulting. You know, I love it when the light bulb goes on with you guys. I mean, you do really, really, really well. I mean, if we look at one of my former contractors who started with them when they were about $750,000 in revenue, grew them to about 10 million, sold it for 9 million in cash, walked out the door. That was cool. That was a heavy ride.
I bet that's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
So I heard
They're
like
a great life.
I bet. So I heard that. I mean, I know you do a lot of like the financial stuff, but you've been involved in like the trades and the trade side of the business for a really long time, though, right?
Since 1987.
Oh, I was born then. Okay, I was gonna say I wasn't born, but I was born in 1987.
My daughter was born in 89, so I was already in it when she was born.
So let's start with this. What was, before we get into that, so how did you get into this industry? Like what made you say I this is what I want to do? Like what started this path for you?
It was by accident, actually. I was in graduate school with a woman who was working for Service America. And way back then, when Ron Smith started Service America, they needed some help with people to go out in the field and actually help the contractors with the business side of their business. And I was, Anna and I were in MBA school together, and, I found a niche. It was absolutely amazing. And quite frankly, that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my first client was 1987, and he sold his business last year. And so he's doing really well. I helped him sell it, and he's a happy camper now.
That's awesome. And it's got to be rewarding when you do that, when you help somebody. And, not everybody wants to sell. I mean, even though everybody needs to have an exit strategy, but it's got to feel good when you help somebody grow their business and know their numbers and when they get to do, because that's life changing, especially $9 million. You work your whole life or whatever it is, and you sell your company for $9 million. That's a win. That's a big win, you know?
That's the fun part. That really and truly is the fun part. And as I explain, Gil, to everybody, I either have very long or very short relationships with my clients. So they're going to do it or not.
Well, it's good that you do that.
Short.
Yeah, because, you know, some people have short relationships because they just,
They don't want to do it. That's fine.
yeah, exactly. So I know when we talk about, you know, when you say like how to discover your financials, you know, if your financials are wrong in less than a minute, and a lot of people would hear that and be like, oh, there's no way you can do that. It can't be that quick. So what does that mean behind that? Knowing your financials? Because I think a lot of people that I talk to, like, I'm not a business guru, won't claim to be, but there's a lot of people out there that they don't know their numbers. Like, they don't.
I agree. And the reality of it is if you don't know your numbers, you're not going to be in business for a long time. I'll tell you what, a lot of my clients start because they get in trouble. They, you know, something happens and all of a sudden they have to start paying attention. And there's the group of them that also are in situations where they're smart enough to start early, and when they're small and we grow to get them big. I mean, we started at 750 and then we grew to 10 million. I mean, there's a lot of stuff along the way and a lot of no man's land going through it. But if you do these 10 things and look at them, which takes less than a minute, you can tell initially whether your financial statements are wrong or not. I also find that most contractors look at their P&Ls and they don't look at their balance sheets, and they miss the boat because your balance sheet tells you true profitability. Your P&L only tells you whether you're profitable for a period of time. So balance sheets are more important. You got to look at them.
And I feel like people don't do them enough. You know, people do them. They're like, oh, well, I get them once a month, or I get them once, you know, every quarter. And I'm like, well, I kind of want, you know, at least a P&L. Like, I almost want to know what that is on a day-to-day basis. You know, like I want to know what it is, like, because I feel like the more that I know and the quicker I know it, I can make adjustments to change things. If I wait till the end of the month, well, the month's over. It's too late, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that we do is we do the budget for the year based on some parameters. And then that budget is broken down into daily and weekly numbers. And so we know every day what you have to produce. We know every week what you have to produce. And I get a report every week where we are in relationship to budget. And yeah, a week or so. I mean, like when the hurricane went through Florida, all right, I give them a pass. It wasn't a thing that anybody could have done about that hurricane.
Yeah,
right?
no.
It wasn't their fault.
No, yeah. That's crazy. There's, not to get off topic, but I know there's a lot of people out there. Actually, Miss Jessica Egan's from Florida. She's down there. Who says hi, Miss Ruth? In the comments. So okay, so when you go to help somebody, like, and you're trying to get them to know their financials and to know what are you looking at, and what would be the first thing that you would do?
Okay, let's start even before that.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
All right, everybody on this podcast, or I should say 99% of the people on this podcast, have read a wiring diagram. True? All right. The first time you looked at that wiring diagram, Gil, what happened?
I didn't know what the hell I was looking at.
All right, but what happened? You studied, right?
Yeah, I had to figure out what it meant.
Yeah. And now you look at a wiring diagram and go, oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
All right. Same thing with your financials. The first time you look at it, you're going to go, I don't know what this means. By the time you do a few little things and learn a few little terms and know what to look for, it's like, oh, why did I ever think this was hard? The same thing as a wiring diagram. Absolutely the same thing. So I know everybody here can relate to that. And so how long did it take you to learn to read a wiring diagram? I'm putting you on the spot here. I know. I'm sorry.
No, honestly, wiring came pretty naturally for me, but I would say by like my 4th or 5th year in, like I was reading like pretty like industrial wiring diagrams. Like I was pretty good into it. But I think I took longer learning some other things, you know, where it equaled out. But yeah, but I'll be honest. I have people that have been in the trade 10 plus years that they can't read a wiring diagram.
they should be able to if they've been in the trade 10 years.
Well, exactly. I think they can get through it. But I feel like that's one of those things, kind of like a business owner, when you say, oh, you know how to read your balance sheet and your P&L, right? Of course I do.
Yeah,
That's like some of those techs. Yeah, they're afraid to say that they don't really understand it. You know, you're never going to learn.
No, you're not. And the thing of it, it's really, really easy. Accounting was developed somewhere between 1200 and 1300 by the Venetian monks who had to account for the rich Italians' money. And so back in 1200, we didn't have a calculator. We didn't have QuickBooks.
No.
We didn't have anything. Yes, the Chinese had abacuses. All right, I'll give you that. But the Chinese weren't talking to the Italians because there was no communication between different population centers. So they had to do it so you could do it on paper. Can you imagine having to do your books on paper today? Forget it.
Yeah. Don't want to do that.
So it really is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, tax law has changed significantly. And your CPAs are supposed to keep up with tax law. But internally, your bookkeepers can do the day-to-day entries and create an accurate and timely financial statement for you, every month. And then you have the numbers that you look at every day and every week and that type of thing. So, one thing that I would beg that all the owners here are listening to do is to look at your bank statements every single day. Go online on your bank, look at what's coming in, look at what's going out. And I'll tell you why. I mean, just for your own safety and security more than anything else. So one of my clients' bookkeepers was one day logged on like he normally does, and he sees these two little deposits, like 22 cents and 6 cents or whatever it is. And he said, oh, the owner just setting up a Square or a new PayPal account or something like that. Didn't think anything of it, didn't think to ask. Next day, the bank calls. Did you authorize two $25,000 withdrawals? No.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Shut the accounts down.
Whew, man, I don't want that phone call. Oh, Jesus.
No, but actually, it's better that the bank called before they authorized it. Otherwise, can you imagine having to get $50,000 back?
No.
That's worse.
That's true. That's true. That's a scary phone call, though. But you're right. I definitely want that phone call before it happens.
Yeah. And so you want to make sure you look at what's coming in. You're looking at what's going out. You're looking at all the ACHs that are coming in and going out. And it is the first line of defense in protecting yourself, right? And you really and truly want to do this. I don't care where you are, as long as you're on something that's secure. I wouldn't suggest doing it in a hotel room, but at home or in the office or whatever else it is, we all have 5 minutes a day to do this, and we do it religiously.
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing that you have to worry about right now are all the scammers who are saying, oh my gosh, our remittance address has changed and it looks like it's coming from one of your suppliers or one of the manufacturers, and it is bogus. And your bookkeeper goes, oh, that's so-and-so. Let me just call the number and make sure it's okay. And they call the number and it's the scammer. And, oh yeah, of course it's legit. Da, 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 da. Two things anybody gets this email. Number one, put the phone number in Google. You'll find out whether it's legit or not. Number two, call your supplier with the person you know at that supplier, not through the email, because they've hacked it, which is not fun.
Yeah, no, that's not fun. And so one thing I will say, like, so my personal, banks and my other businesses that I do check the account like a hawk. I watch it every day, a couple times a day. One thing about Beltway, HVAC, heat and air conditioning where I work is, I'm like the GM, COO of the company. Like I came up as a technician and got into management. And so I had to learn all the stuff that you're saying, because I was that person. I didn't know how to read a balance sheet and a P&L. And I'll be honest, I know what I'm doing, but I wouldn't say that I'm great at it now. I understand it. I know what's good and bad. But thank God, like Ryan, the actual, he's the owner of the company. And then, our Amanda, who takes care of all the financial stuff. Thank God they're better than me and I'm good in other things because we're able to know, what we have to do and the changes we have to make. And I think that another thing is, having the right bookkeeper and accountant, because we had one in the beginning that we got a phone call that's like, hey, you owe, $50,000 in taxes, or you owe this because of certain things. So it gets pretty crazy when it's not done correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And, owners and managers have to know enough to question. I don't expect you to do the day-to-day bookkeeping. That's not your job. Your job's to manage. Your job's to do the things you do. So, let the bookkeepers do their jobs. You oversee, you make sure it's there. You do the financial analysis, which is not hard. It takes you less than 30 minutes a month. And we all have less than 30 minutes a month. Or if you do something that we're doing now, by next spring, you'll be able to input the data and automatically get the reports. I mean, we're actually programming that right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So anyway, so 10 things we can absolutely. Number one is you want to make sure that you're on an accrual basis for accounting. And how do you find out whether you're on an accrual basis? Well, guess what? In QuickBooks, are you cash or accrual? It's one button or the other. And the difference between the two is in cash basis accounting, there are no receivables, no payables, and inventory is a joke. All right. You don't have any way of matching revenue against expenses. And then you have no idea whether you're profitable or not, simply because you're not going to write a check unless you have money in the bank to pay the check, to cover the check, right?
Yeah.
So you're always going to be profitable, or most of the time. Anyway. Accrual-based accounting. You have revenues and expenses, you have receivables and payables, and you can actually match revenues against the costs of those revenues so that we make sure that our gross margins are consistent and we can make sure that we can look at true profitability. So if your accountant gives you a hard time about running your business on an accrual basis, number one, they're not running your business. So they're not getting the day-to-day information you need. On a tax basis, they can push that little button in QuickBooks and automatically go to a cash basis for tax. That's how you want to do it. Or 2 journal entries. So don't let them tell you that it's hard to switch from cash to accrual, because they're full of it. And I'm not going to use a lot of the terminology you use, but I'm just saying they're full of it. Okay.
And I've said it plenty of times. You know what she means.
Yeah. So from that perspective, number one is make sure you're on accrual basis for accounting. It's not hard. Okay. And the thing that you have to understand is that with accrual-based accounting, you really do match revenue and expense. It's not the sale and expense, which is cash-based accounting. And here's the example. Let's say that you do a $1 million project. All right. You sell a $1 million project. Well, you're not going to do the whole $1 million in a month unless you have a huge sales force or a huge field force. So the sale is $1 million. The revenue is the amount that you actually billed for that month. All right. So the sale doesn't go on your P&L. The revenue goes on your P&L. Same thing with maintenance agreements. Mrs. Jones pays you up front. It's a sale, but it's not revenue. So you get the money in the door and you have what's known as deferred income or a liability to perform. You have to do that work for Mrs. Jones. She is paying you on a bet, which she is. She's trusting her 200, 300, 400, whatever the money is, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Now, most of us have been in business a really long time with decent reputations, so that risk is probably not real high. But she's still risking that money that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. It becomes revenue when you actually do the work and you have the expenses against that work for labor and materials, et cetera, and you have a gross profit and a net, all right? So when contractors tell me, we're busy, but we're not making any money, which I hear every spring, every fall, whatever else it is, they are doing maintenance work and they haven't accounted for the maintenance work properly, all right? Because what happens when you do the maintenance work, that deferred income becomes revenue. If they've taken the revenue when they sold it, then of course you have all this revenue, great sale, no expense, 100% gross margin. Yay! not real.
Yeah, we just learned this because we did for a little bit where when we were selling systems with like 10-year parts warranty, 10-year labor warranty, and then we'll throw in 10 years of maintenance. And we had to have this conversation because I always understand maintenance. They're like, that's great, but this is how we have to break that down. And it's funny, it was actually broken down just like that. So when you started saying it, I'm like, oh, I've heard this before.
Well, the other really cool thing is a lot of contractors now are on monthly recurring billing. And so you can set up with your credit card company for the monthly recurring billing to go into your savings account and never touch your operating account. And in those cases, you're not tempted having to move the money over, which is cool.
Yeah, because aren't you supposed to have that money? Like, say I had 100 people that I sold 10-year maintenance contracts and we're only in year one, that I'm supposed to have those other 9 years in the bank.
You got it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, the rule is that your savings account should always be greater. The value of the money in your savings account should always be greater than the value of money in deferred income, or equal to if it's your first year or something like that. But you should always have more in savings than in deferred income. Always.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah, so everybody on here, so I've had a lot of messages. I've been talking to quite a few people lately. I know a lot of you have been in business for a while. For you guys that are techs, I know this show isn't for you, but you can still learn something. But for all of you that keep saying, I'm starting my own business, or you just started, listen to what Miss Ruth is saying, because if you start off right, you don't have to deal with some of the other headaches that people have to because they're making all these mistakes in the beginning. So please listen closely to this. And if you have questions afterwards, we can get people to, and get you to the right person to be able to answer your questions. But please pay attention to this. It's very important, Even
text, you do it on a personal level.
Yeah.
Your sale is your yearly annual income. Your revenue is what you take home every month. I mean, this is appropriate not only for people who are in business, but people who are techs, because you have a roof over your head that you have to, unless you're living with mom and dad or something like that, but there's a roof over your head that you have to support. There's a car payment you generally have to support. I mean, there's so many different things that apply, whether you're in business and looking at this on some business P&L, or whether you're looking at it as a personal P&L. I mean, both count. So, all right. So that's number one. Number two, do you have negative cash on your balance sheet? Real easy to look. Takes 2 seconds, right? You cannot have negative cash in your balance sheet. That means you got negative cash in the bank. If you had negative cash in the bank, guess what? Banker will close your account because you're bouncing checks right and left.
Yeah.
You have to have at least something positive cash flow wise. So that's number two. That's real easy. All right. Cash versus accrual. Number one, money, positive cash. Number two, takes you less than 10 seconds, 5 seconds to look at those two numbers to make sure that they're there. Number three is no negative accounts receivable. All right. So in some of the software systems, when you get a deposit, it doesn't go into a deferred income deposit account on your balance sheet. They actually take it against receivables. So it looks like the companies owe the customer money, which is not the case. It is situation. So if you see negative accounts receivable, yeah, you might owe somebody, a couple bucks here and there. But if you see negative accounts receivable on your balance sheet, you know that deposits have been given. It really goes as deferred income, and it's not that you owe the customers, $25,000 or whatever the number is. All right. So those are three things. Takes you 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds to look at.
Yeah, right? not long.
Yeah. Number four is no negative credit card payments. I promise you the credit card company does not owe you $10,000.
I wish.
I've seen millions in negative credit card payments. Again, financial statements are wrong. Takes a second to look and find that. Then you go down the liability section and you look at payroll taxes. You look at garnishment paid wages and all that sort of fun stuff. Those can't be negative either. The feds don't owe you money. The state doesn't owe you money. The the courts who are collecting the garnishment payments don't owe you money. 401k company doesn't owe you money. Your bookkeeper screwed up and didn't put in the payroll data correctly. Okay. Next one, go down the balance sheet even further. Negative loan payments. Bank doesn't owe you money for a truck. You owe the bank money for a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, if this is happening, the bookkeeper or whoever has been doing the books is taking the entire loan payment against what's owed rather than only the principal repayment. When you pay the bank, it's partially principal and it's partially interest. Principal goes against your balance sheet or how much you owe, and the interest goes on your profit and loss statement as an expense. I forget what number I'm at. All right.
I think you're on
inventory.
Yeah, I think you're on 6, I think.
Yeah, whatever number I'm at. All right. So there's no inventory on your balance sheet. There's not a person in this. We have inventory. All right. Let me just say it that way. It's on your trucks. It's in a lot of places. So inventory is a bet. Start accounting for it properly when you're small, because I promise you, when you're $2 million in size, putting inventory on a balance sheet is painful.
I bet. It's painful now, and yeah.
It's really painful.
Yeah.
Barcoding is like a no-brainer these days. I mean, just barcode everything. There's all the software has packages or APIs that work with most of the barcoding companies. Choose one you like, start barcoding in, start barcoding out, and figuring out what's going on with inventory. All right. The next thing you want to make sure of is that there are no months on your P&L which have no rent payments or double rent payments, or no utility bill or double utility bills. And you're making sure that, you pay your rent every month, you pay your utility bill every month. If it looks really bizarre, did somebody screw up and not put the utility bill in the month before? You want to make sure that that's accurate. And then, let's see. Then what you want to do is make sure that your gross margins are fairly consistent. You want no negative gross margins. That's a lazy bookkeeper. And you want to make sure that we have all revenue for a month matching all the expenses for a month. And that goes apples and apples. We don't want fruit salad. Financial statement fruit salad is when you have revenue in a month, call it apples, and the expenses against that revenue is in the next month, and we'll call it oranges. And you're trying to job cost, and you're putting apples and oranges together, and you got fruit salad. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
Do not let your bookkeeper close the month until you have revenues matching expenses. Otherwise, your numbers are screwy. Likewise, if you don't have inventory, you're not making as much profit as you think you are. And in the months where you buy a whole lot of stuff, your gross margins are going to be lower. And in the months you use everything you buy, the gross margins are going to be higher. So they're not consistent. So you want to make sure that your margins are as consistent as you possibly can. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to print out an aged receivables report and look at the total and make sure it balances the total on the balance sheet, and do the same thing for aged payables. If I'm going to steal from you, I'm stealing from you in 2 places. The account, most of the time, the easy ways to do it. The accounts receivable balance doesn't match the accounts receivable aging report, or the accounts payable balance doesn't match the accounts payable aging report. And I've done journal entries to take money. No big deal. Or I'm going to steal it through undeposited funds. And, the customer shows the customer's paid and the money went into undeposited funds until you put it in the bank. Well, I can take the undeposited funds and put them in any bank I want, including mine. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it one of those 2 ways. Easy ways, anyway. Or if you're totally not paying attention and you don't look at the reconciliation reports for the bank statements, I'll just write checks to whomever I want, including me.
No, it's good to know, because it's sad that happens, Yeah,
it does happen. Unfortunately, because we don't pay attention to the financial side of our business.
Yeah.
We trust too much.
Very true.
All right. And I think I'm pretty close to the end of it. The last thing that I want you to do is to look at the net profit on your P&L and make sure it matches the retained earnings on your balance sheet. If it doesn't, this is another really easy place to steal.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are the really easy places, and somebody's fooling around with that, and it will take you less than a minute to do everything I just said. Now, it took me more than a minute to explain it all, but once you look at your P&L and balance sheet, then you want to make sure. Then you look at it and you go, all right, this isn't right, or this doesn't feel right, or this doesn't look right. Why do I have negative cash? Why do I have a balance sheet that doesn't balance? Occasionally, QuickBooks will get out of balance, and they'll send you this little note, say, balance sheet's out of balance. Would you like us to rebalance it? And you say yes. And it fixes itself, whatever screwy thing that it actually did do. But those are the things that I would look at first. And then we get into, at some point in time when you're doing all that, that's easy to do. Takes you less than a minute to do. And it will start having you ask questions to your bookkeeper. I have a bookkeeping test, which is done by the American Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. They freely give out the test. And the answers?
Mm-hmm.
If your bookkeeper can't pass this test, she got to go to school and learn bookkeeping. If you're looking for a new bookkeeper and the bookkeeper can't pass this test, you do not hire her.
Keep looking.
Or if the bookkeeper passes with flying colors, watch out too, because it might be an embezzler. We had that happen to one of my clients, literally. Gave her the bookkeeping test, passed with flying colors. I went down there and we finished finishing getting the books in order and everything else like that. And she saw what I required. Reconciliation reports, review of P&Ls, review of balance sheets, separation of who gets the cash in the door and who goes to the bank and all that sort of fun stuff. And 2 weeks later, she just didn't show up.
Oh, no.
She went to find somebody she could embezzle from. That's really what happened. Now, can I prove it? No. I've just seen it too many times. They can't, if your processes and procedures are in place so that your cash procedures are there and you request aged receivables and aged payables and every reconciliation report from your bank statements, from your credit card vendors, from your, suppliers, and you require all of those things before you pay a bill, they're not going to stick around because they can't steal from you because you're looking. You're looking at your bank statement every day. They'll see it. They will absolutely see it. Bye. Been nice.
Yeah, and you got to be vigilant. I mean, and even if you have a person you trust, means maybe a mistake happens, so you still need to know to keep an eye on that. Like you said, when it's messed up. One quick question is how you said if you see one of those numbers and it's a negative, that your bookkeeper made an error. So that's not as simple as $50,000. That should be positive. It's not that simple. It means it's totally jacked up, correct? That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I said, how do you know that they're wrong? I didn't say how long it was going to take to fix it.
Very true. Very true.
Because it depends upon how screwed up it actually is until you figure out how to fix it. So, and the reality of everything that we do is, and back in the day when Reagan was president, he had a term called trust but verify. That's what you're doing with your bookkeeper. So I know some of you don't remember Ronald Reagan. My gray hair shows me I remember Ronald Reagan.
I wasn't alive, but I got gray hair and I remember him.
Yeah. And so it is, you trust your bookkeeper, but I'm going to give you a really, really sad story. Dad sells his business to the kids, 2 brothers and a daughter. And everyone had their piece. The daughter was financials. She did all the bookkeeping and financials. One of them was in sales and one of them was in operations, which was the perfect way to do it. So the 2 brothers trust their sister. Sister gets hooked on drugs. Sister starts taking a little bit of money out of the checking account fairly consistently to pay for her drug habit. They didn't notice it because they didn't pay attention because they trusted their sister until they started having cash flow problems. That was not fun. That was very messy. Thankfully, they had a partnership agreement amongst the 3 kids, and they kicked her out.
How much money did she end up getting?
Let's not talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
She OD'd and died.
Oh, no. So I actually do addiction podcast and mental health because I beat addiction years ago. So that's, that sucks that happened. I was hoping that she
I
would,
would agree.
yeah,
That sucks.
yeah, right her wrongs and see her ways. That sucks that she went out like that. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But that's a situation where two brothers trusted their sister.
Mm. And they're not really bad or wrong for what they did, but because 90% of the time would that probably be fine, but you still got to have those checks and balances in place that you just hold each other accountable, whether you're family, best friends or not, it doesn't matter.
You have a financial statement review every month, which they never did. They just trusted her.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And something you said before about, when you hire a bookkeeper and, I guess that we've all been, the people that I work with, we're all close and I guess, a family can do it. Anybody can, but I think we have enough checks and balances that, we would catch something. But some of these people who message me that they are first starting and, and these people go hire somebody, they don't know who they're hiring. And guys, if you don't know what Miss Ruth is talking about, you could be starting your business and think your business isn't doing good, but you could be doing fine, but just getting robbed in the background. So yeah, that's scary.
Even when you're starting, look at your bank statements or bank account every single day. And if you hire a bookkeeper, send me an email. I will send you the bookkeeping test. They don't pass the test, you don't hire them. My rule.
And if they pass with flying colors, don't either.
Because I won't let them hire them. They don't pass the test. Well, I like this one. She passed the test? Nope. Can't hire.
That's funny. So when knowing your numbers, I've always wondered, so have you ever looked at somebody's numbers, looked at their balance sheet, looked at their P&L and been like, oh, this is great. Everything looks good. I mean, not meaning like the numbers are right, but from like a business standpoint, everything is like where it should be. I guess I'm trying to make sure I ask this in the right way because I can think about it in my head, but it's not coming out the right way.
Yeah. I mean, you will look at a P&L and balance sheet and there are times that everything is doing really, really well, and that's fine. But you have to do the vigilance to make sure it stays doing really well, that the trends are going in the right direction. Your ratios are going in the right direction. I promise you, my clients, all their financials look pretty good by now. I mean, it may take a year to clean them up to get everything done, but they all look pretty good after, within a year. And some of them start with them pretty good. It's just that they're not doing as well as they want to be doing. And that's fine. If your net profit per hour, which is for every billable hour, how much drops to the bottom line is not where you want it to be. And if it's less than you make in a fast food restaurant, you're crazy. So, and it's building net profit per hour. Sometimes it's making sure the guys are productive because the most important thing any contractor does is maximize billable hours because labor is perishable. I mean, your guys give you 8 hours today. You don't bill all 8 hours, you can't save one until tomorrow. It's not like a capacitor or a contactor or a relay or something.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Well, and plus,
like an airplane seat with the airplane taking off and the seat being empty, can't get revenue from it.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And I tell a lot of people, I think a lot of people get blinded by numbers, especially the day and age of social media and everybody on there and people. I'm a $15 million company or I'm a $10 million company. Okay, first of all, most of those people lie. It's not true. And even if it is, it's okay. If you make $10 million, okay, how much profit are you making? That's what you need to know.
That's the net profit per hour thing. I don't care. I mean, I can show you two companies each with a 10% net. One who's making $10 an hour and one who's making 50. Which would you rather be? Same percentage. Percentages don't matter. And you're right. Nobody talks about nets. They only talk about grosses. And it doesn't, what you Generate is important, but what you keep is critical.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I see a lot of people, especially starting out. A lot of them, it's bookkeeping, but it's also not pricing correctly because they're doing all these jobs, they're getting busy, and they look in the bank at the end of the month, and they're like, I don't have any goddamn money. It's like, okay, well, that could be several different reasons. Because for us, this was a weird summer for us at Beltway because we did more revenue last year, but we made more profit this year. So we tightened up some things. We didn't have as many people. We put some better processes in place as far as systems with our technicians. Average tickets went up. So there wasn't as many calls, at least in this area. It was just a goofy summer. Rather than going like this and staying up until its end, it was kind of like this. But to me, that was a good thing because that tells me that if we would have had a normal summer where it would have been balls to the wall, go, 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 that our revenue would have been what we predicted and we would have made more from it.
Mm-hmm. I would prefer that you keep your revenue steady or even go down. And if your profits go up, who cares?
Well, exactly. So that's what we figure it's not a bad thing because as long as we're keeping more and the cash flow is good and all that kind of stuff, I feel like that revenue number is more to impress other people. If we know that we're good and we're making the money we're supposed to do to keep this business thriving and training and vans and all the pay the bills on time, that's all I worry about. I don't care about the rest of that jazz.
I do.
Well, it's good. We need people to worry about it. It's just not me.
Okay.
But so man, that was a lot of information, and I really loved hearing that because, like I said, I've always been a numbers person, but that was never my forte. So I'm gonna replay this when we're done. I'm gonna write all that down because I think it's all very good. Because even though I'm not the accountant or the bookkeeper, I'm just weird that I like to know things like 100%. To know it like when I don't like to not know things, if that makes sense. So I whether it's reading a book or whatever it is, if it's something that I have to do in my everyday task, even if it's once a month, I want to know it to the best of my ability. So, yeah.
Read the wiring diagrams.
Exactly. You got to read the damn wiring diagrams. When it comes to the financial stuff, we've had a few people in the comments that are asking that, I guess they know that you're involved with women in HVACR. To some of these ladies out there, is there anything that you could tell them about? I mean, I've had them on. They know women's in HVACR is awesome. But is there anything that you can say to these ladies about women in HVACR?
It is one of the best support groups that you can ever be around. I mean, the support that you get from people who are not working in the same company you're working in, people who are dealing with exactly the same issues that you're dealing with, whether you're, a tech or an installer or somebody in the office or whatever. You've got somebody to lean on for support. We have mentorship programs. We have scholarship programs for people who are going through school. And the goal, of the organization since I started it 20 years ago was to get more women involved in the industry. And we've done it. I mean, when we started this, it was, a handful of us, and there's now 800 plus members, which is really kind of cool.
That is amazing. So you're not like you're not the president anymore, right? Because of Miss Colleen, you're just the founder. Yeah, that's.
I've had my years as president. I did my duty from that perspective.
No, it is amazing, and I've had Miss Colleen on and met them, and I'm it's horrible. I'm like I told you, I'm upset at myself that I'm not going to be at the event in Arizona because I know it's going to be a blast. But one thing I can say is they have built an amazing community because even in like the Facebook group and little things, it's not just women. There's men in there too. But
men can be members too.
Yeah, and that's what I want people to know.
Yeah, as long as you support women and women in the industry, we're fine. We take, men are fine, women are fine. We have members who are both. We have men who come to convention, to the conference. So it's not like it's, women only. There are men, there are sponsors, there's a great group of people. I'm very proud of what it's turned into. It's turned into a really, really great organization. And as we found out, unbeknownst to us, there is a world organization where they're trying to put everybody in the world together who are supporting women in our industries in different countries. And we are the largest in the world right now.
Oh,
Which was
man.
cool to find out. Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I know, like, in that Facebook group or some of the different things that I see with the women in HVACR is, and this is one thing I got to say to you fellas out there is, we have the whole weenie measuring contest on Facebook when we ask questions and when it comes to helping each other. These ladies got it down pat because they go in there and they ask a question. They support each other. There's no BS. It's, hey, girl, you can do this. Or, oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm proud of you. And I really give it to them. It's a very positive group. And it's kind of refreshing to see because that's why a lot of us create the groups that we create. And yes, we want to joke around and kind of bust balls with each other. But that's what it's got to be. We still got to build each other up. And I have not seen a group. And I mean, I've been podcasting for a while. I've been in a lot of Facebook groups. I have not seen one that is more positive and builds each other up better than Women HVACR. And I've said that many times. I'm not just saying that because you're here.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a question, we answer it. There will be somebody who answers your question, if not 3 or 4 people who answer your question. It's very active. Everybody, as you said, Gil, everybody supports everybody, which is kind of cool, which is how the group was started.
Yeah, because
education, scholarship.
Yeah, because I feel like some of the groups, and sadly I see it, and it's not all guys, and I guess it's hard because there's more men in the industry than women, so it's the numbers are.
Change that.
Hey, and to be honest, I would love to. I mean, we have amazing women in our office, but I would love to hire, like a woman technician or something like that. Like Miss Jessica Egan has been following my show. She actually works for Mr. Brian Orr, from the HVAC School podcast. But she's a woman technician. I would love to hire some. I just don't get to interview them. I always go through and look to try to find one because I'd love to have one there. Most of the women that I know in the industry are rock stars. I mean, they really are. And I was even asking my wife, and she was like, well, obviously I don't have to make these kind of purchases, like HVAC purchases, because of you. She's like, but if I did, I'd rather make it with a woman than a man. You know what I mean? Like sit down and talk about it with a woman. I'm like, well, I guess that makes sense. So I'm glad that times are changing. And what are you offering? Just so.
Offering?
No, in the comments. So my eyes wander on the screen sometime. But Jessica, if you can ever go, if you're not a part, if you haven't joined women in HVACR, you definitely should. Every body that I've talked to who has joined it loves it. The girls in our office are a part of it, and they absolutely love it. They're actually upset that they can't make it to Arizona, but I really wish that I was going. And I love AHR when we go to AHR, that their event they do afterwards is always one of the most fun events. And I heard this year.
We're going to do it at the aquarium this year. Which is so much. It's in Atlanta this year, so we're going to go to the aquarium for our event. Which is a cool place to do an event. That's
what Miss Colleen was saying when I talked to her. Yeah, no, I can't wait about that. So let me say this, because I know I almost had you for an hour. If people out there are having trouble with their financials, or don't think that they are good enough with it, or they see some of the issues that you just said, what do you recommend people do? Can they get in touch with you? What should these people, what would be a fix? What could be something they could do?
All right. If you want to do it yourself, which you can, go and find an accounting book, or go find The Courage to Be Profitable, which is the book that I wrote that's in English about what this stuff is all about. It's it's really thin. It's very easy to read. Implementing it takes a little bit longer, but you'll get the background of it. If you have questions, I take questions all the time. Just call me or send me an email. Calling is 770-729-8000. That's 770-729-8000. email is ruthking@hvacchannel.tv, or you can go to hvacchannel.tv and everything that I do is on the channel. I'm happy to help. If you want the bookkeeping test, send me an email. If you want to be part of our little beta test for financials, send me an email and I'll send you the info. So we're having fun with it. We really and truly do. And you'll find that it's once you get used to doing it and start looking at the trends, it actually becomes fun. And I know for most of you, that's just like, what? You're full of it. But when you get it, it actually goes, okay, what did we do? How did we do? Where are we with budget? And it's stuff like that that you actually start looking forward to.
Well, it's awesome when you look at, a P&L or a balance sheet and you were very profitable that month and man, this was a great month and you got a smile on your face, when you see all that hard work that goes into it. But no, this is great because, and I like this because a lot of people, at least a lot of my listeners, like in the beginning, this was mostly for technicians. It was just technicians. And then as my career evolved, I've gotten a lot more business owners and then a lot of those one-man band people that started their own company. And most of those people were technicians. They're not college graduates, but for them to understand the importance of their numbers and knowing how to do that, I really hope that they listen to this and it kind of is eye-opening for them and they reach out to whoever they need to, you or whoever it may be, to be able to, to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, guys, and if you need to look at some books, I didn't read them all at first, but some of Miss Ruth's books she has here is what is this? Profit or Wealth?
Yeah, Courage to be Profitable is first.
Yep,
Profit or Wealth is the sequel to Courage to be Profitable, and the book that's coming out next year is 101 Dumb Financial Things.
Okay, and do you also have The Ugly Truth About Cash?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because I'm looking at all these, so definitely some good books. And guys, I suggest you guys all read. And I'm telling you, I'm horrible. One person who's helped me is Ryan, who's been on here with me, who's actually the owner of the company. He has helped push me to read. I've never been huge at reading books, but now that I have started reading them, it's amazing. And I feel like it's like fuel for my mind as I start to read things. And everybody used to always say like, oh, that you don't have time. And I don't have time to read a book. It's amazing how much time we waste in a day. So trust me, you have time.
They're all on Audible too, so you can listen. I read them all.
Yeah.
On Audible.
Yeah. It's funny. I try to do both. I try to listen and I'm trying to be old school, a page turner. I like to actually get the book, but I listen to the Audible and then I try to read it. Plus, cause I guess I don't know. I'm a horrible reader. I guess it's like a 3rd grade reading level. I'm like Cat in the Hat books, but, no, reading has been see if I read something that I'm interested in, like if I read like a sports book or something, I would knock it out because I wouldn't think about it. But when I know it's work, it's like my brain struggles, but I've gotten better at it and I really enjoy reading. It's become a good thing. But all right, real fast before we start to end this, does anybody have any questions for Miss Ruth before we start to close this out? I do want to thank everybody in the comments. It looks like we had a decent amount of people in here tonight. Once again, I apologize for not being here last night. If some of you didn't see the video I put out, I apologize. It's been a rough last month. You guys know about my friend passing away and my wife was in the hospital last week. So dealing with those things, but I'm back. It's all good. And I'm glad to have this first show back with Miss Ruth with this great information that we've been putting out for you guys to be able to know what you're looking at, being able to read those wiring diagrams. Yeah, don't see any questions. So, okay. Miss Ruth, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I really do. I hope there's not anything that was missed. I think that was great information and it really kind of hit me, the stuff that I want to learn. But if there's ever anything that like you feel we missed or something else that, we could get out to educate people, please let me know. I'd love to have you back on if you'd ever want to do it. Anything that we need to get out to the masses.
I'd be happy to. So thanks for having me, Gil. Hopefully we educated and entertained, which is the goal.
Yes, of course. And I definitely think we did. I think this was a good time and some very good information. I'm glad because it definitely helped me. So I'm sorry that I won't get to meet you in person in Arizona, but if you're at AHR in Atlanta, I will definitely be there. And I'm talking to Miss Colleen. So I podcast live there. So maybe we can try to work something out where I can get some of you together and we can do a podcast directly at AHR in the
That would be
podcast
fun.
pavilion.
Yeah, we'll be fun. We'll do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Miss Ruth. I'm going to go ahead and start closing this out, okay?
That would be great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right, everybody. I'm going to start to close this show out. Guys, that was great. And I know some of you listen to this stuff and you're like, I don't know. Guys, that is gold right there because a lot of people don't know how to read that stuff. And when you first look at a balance sheet or you first look at a P&L, she's absolutely right. It's like your first day on the job looking at a wiring diagram and you're like, what the hell is this? Until you learn what it means. So all of you guys out there and girls who message me and say, hey, I want to start my own company and stuff like that, you need to learn this, especially at some point. Maybe you might not think it's as important when it's just you running around in a van, but you're going to need to know this because this is going to determine how much, whether you're profitable, you're making money. You're really going to need to know these numbers. So I really, really think don't forget to put the books in the link, buddy. Yeah, here, let me try to do that for you, buddy. I'm going to put her books in here right now. So I'm not the best typer. So you guys should write it down. So it's the so her books are Profit or Wealth. There's The Courage to Be Profitable, The Ugly Truth About Cash, and then her last one that's coming out is, I think it says 101 Dumb Financial Mistake Business Owners Make. Here, I want to make sure. I'm going to mute Miss Ruth real fast because I think I'm missing one. What book am I missing, Miss Ruth?
You're missing the two more Ugly Truth books. 101 Dumb Financial Mistakes is coming out in 2023. The book I would start with is The Courage to Be Profitable. That is the thing that will explain P&Ls and balance sheets in English. Then do Profit and Wealth. Then do The Ugly Truth About Cash. The Ugly Truth About Managing People. And then last would be The Ugly Truth About Small Business. That's the order I would read them in, or that's the order I would listen to them in. And they're all on Audible. They're all on Amazon. So you can get them there. And if I see you at a conference, bring the book and I'll autograph it for you.
That is awesome. Thank you. I knew I was getting it wrong, and I was like, hold on, let me unmute Miss Ruth real fast. Thank you.
All right, see ya.
See ya. So, yeah, that's a lot to type, so I'm not typing all those. But if you have any questions about those, just email me, HVACuncensored@gmail.com, or remember the podcast, the new email is going to be info@HVACuncensored.com. Remember, the website is out. I'm slowly putting merch up there. I've been tied up the last month, so I don't have everything on there. But thank you guys, man. I appreciate you for bearing with me this month. I know it's been a little up and down. Got kicked while I was down, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? Ain't going to sit around and cry about it. But trying to think of anything coming up. Nope, that's about it. Thank you guys, man. I appreciate you. Glad to be back at it. And that's it. Make sure you follow the podcast on all the social media sites so that way you stay up to date. I have a giveaway coming up where I'm going to be giving away this, one of the YJack charging and air kits. So this has the probes, the pressure probes, the temperature probes, and the temperature clamps. I am going to be giving that away. So it's going to be on one of the social media sites. So make sure you're following me, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and I will let you know how to enter to win that. All right, that's it. Guys, remember, be safe out there. We all have somebody to make it home to. All right? We live in a crazy world. Be smart, be safe. electrical, driving, whatever it is. We all have somebody to make it home to. And I don't want to see on the news that other brother and sisters passed away from something that could be prevented. Guys, remember, and you know when I say guys, I mean guys and gals. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy. All right? There's no reason to say, I don't know. With all the resources available nowadays between podcasts, books, YouTube, whatever it is, there is a way to be able to learn whatever it is. Educate yourself. Be the best at whatever it is that you're trying to be, and don't let anybody tell you different, all right? If you guys know if I can help you in any way, I don't know everything. I'm far from it. But if I can help you in any way, I am always here to help. I am always here to answer your questions. I'm always able to be in touch with, whether it is the emails, direct messaging, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is. Normally within 24 to 48 hours, I will always respond back to you. And if it's something that I can't give expertise on, I will get you in touch with somebody who can. I promise you that. All right? Until next week, I love you, mofos. Stay safe, and I'll see you next Wednesday. All right? Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.